Welcome, everybody, to the Emergent Gamer Podcast, episode 291. I am one of your hosts, Trip Zero, and I'm here with Neo Ayoshi.
Hey, what's up?
Felix are good.
Hey.
And Lock and Key.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, boys? How you guys doing tonight?
Good, man.
It feels like just yesterday we did our number 200 show with the cake and Diamond Jab and
We
Kevin Oates.
did have the cake. Whoa.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, that
predates
90.
COVID.
I do now. Well, of course, it predates COVID. It was fucking 91 episodes ago. That's 91 weeks, dude. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
There's only 52
84
weeks in a year.
years.
Come on, bro. It's almost been 2 years.
Oh
I
my
know.
god.
What are we doing for 300? That's
I was
probably it's too soon.
I was gonna say, just jokingly, what are we gonna do for 300? But now, after he brought this up, I feel like we got to do something.
I know.
I
Didn't
literally-
even click. I read 291, but the thought of oh, we're almost 300 didn't even
Yeah, we're
smack into my brain.
I can't even eat cake now.
What if you What if you
gotta
just took some of the icing, maybe all right, or just
We can get
smelled
you.
it.
So we can get you some fruit jerky or something.
Yeah.
We'll eat like a strawberry cake, and we'll get you some strawberry fruit leather.
Yeah.
Keto cake
Yeah.
with almond flour. You know what I mean?
True.
You do all that stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's the icing that's the problem, right?
Added
or
sugar in general is
It's
the
just
problem.
any added sugar, right?
There's options. There's options, Felix.
Yeah, let's
Yeah, I mean,
let's tell the world my personal problems. I'm pre-diabetic.
If it's up to you, it's your prerogative.
We don't
But
gotta
it was
tell the world
obvious.
anything.
It was a surface level, obvious thing. There it is.
I feel like it was bubbling
This
up to the
guy
surface
right here.
out of
This
you.
guy right here.
So- You can talk about that during your what I've been up to recently.
Yeah, sure. That's what I've been up to.
Yeah.
About up to 270 pounds. That's what I've been up to.
Jesus.
I said it the other day. I was like, I've been eating like a French nobleman in the fucking 18th century for the last 20 years of my life. I gotta pretty much realize that I can't eat that way anymore.
How are your joints? Do you have gout? Are you developing gout?
No.
Not yet.
You have the
I'm
gout?
10 more years. At episode
Yeah.
400, I'd fucking have gout.
Yeah, the gout episode, episode 400.
Oh my god.
Oh God. Well, before we get too deep into this, if you're listening out there, hi, how are you? We appreciate you. Please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can get our custom URL. You guys were then he took it away because you're very, very greedy listeners. So subscribe again so we can get back up to that target milestone, get our URL, and then make it easier for you guys to find us on the internet. And of
Are we
course,
literally
find us on
just
your
sitting
favorite
at
podcast
we're sitting at
services, and then
99?
like and subscribe.
We're sitting
Felix, you
at
were
99. I cut you off. We're sitting at 99.
We were there. We were there at one point.
We were at 100. I
And
remember
then someone
that.
said, "You know what will be hilarious?" And they clicked the button again.
Oh my
Did you
god.
guys see the
that's so funny.
obviously the Suez Canal situation happened and we didn't talk about it because we're a gaming podcast. But there was a tweet before the ship was unstuck. And I retweeted it on
the one from above?
on my Twitter. No. It's just a comedian with words, right? But here's what he said. And it was really funny. He goes, "Imagine being the captain of the first ship to pass through the Suez after it gets unblocked and knowing that you have the potential to do the funniest thing that anyone has ever done ever." And that was the end of the tweet.
Hey, right now
Stick
what-
the ship again, essentially.
what I read is we're
they
back
cleared
to
it out and then he just went fucking.
we're back to 100. I'm reading it right now live.
Are you the one that unsubscribed? Is that why you did it so fast?
No, I'm subscribed.
He did it. He
wow,
did it.
you were
I
the
know.
one.
God damn it,
Well,
Felix.
we're back, baby. Officially on this episode. We can make a URL.
So in regard to the Suez Canal thing, I did see something gaming related. It was a shot from above of one of the ships in front of the other ship, and it was basically like, if this speeds up, we're gonna lose. And it's like they're in the shape of Tetris,
Oh, I
and
got you.
it's so fucking funny.
I saw so many of those with just insert any first-person shooter, and they put their favorite overlay in front of it. There was a Gjallarhorn from Destiny 1. There was tons of Call of Duty stuff I've seen. Just easy memes, low-hanging fruit kind of stuff. But
I love
that's
when
what you
things
expect. Yep.
Get some good laughs out of it.
Anyway, that's all the spiel. Go do that thing. Neo, what you been up to?
A bunch of stuff actually. Okay, first I want to just announce here, I have my first COVID shot down.
Congratulations.
Hey,
Congratulations.
I go tomorrow.
I go
I'm
Sunday.
Awesome.
So excited about
Yeah,
it.
I went last week, so we're all gonna be vaxxed up. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I'm gonna have
Hell
number
yeah,
one.
I'm real excited about
Well, yeah, we're all gonna have. He's just saying we're all gonna have one. Felix,
Gonna have one.
come on,
it.
come on.
Yeah, my next one's on the 26th, so just gotta wait it out the month. But I'm really excited about that. Other than
What
that,
did you get? Did you get Pfizer, Moderna,
Pfizer.
J&J?
I got Pfizer.
I'm Moderna gang, dude. We're gonna have to fight when everything is
shit.
cleared up
Oh
here.
shit!
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm getting, but I think it's Pfizer. I think the place that I'm going to has Pfizer, but I'm not sure.
Mine's Pfizer.
I didn't know till I walked in. Like
Yeah,
that was-
I won't. Yeah, I won't know either. I guess.
Oh, it
until
says
I
it
get
on
there.
my actual
Your
reservation.
appointment.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Oh,
lot of
nice.
them do. Like a lot of the ones that I was trying to book did say which one they had, but this one didn't.
If you guys are all Pfizer, I'm fucked in the fight upcoming.
yeah,
In the gang wars.
3v1's not gonna work.
That's not what you want.
You'll have to
What-
enlist
is
them.
it? Does it mean I'm just gonna give you COVID? I mean, to win? I mean, like, what are we talking about here?
I'm just making a gang war joke. You're gonna beat me up.
we're gonna West Side Story it.
So, so it's
Right.
not gonna be like Columbus, like landing and meeting the Native Americans.
No, there was no implication to that. There is no.
I went to West Side Story. That's where
I went
where
to
my brain
Columbus
went.
and fucking
You went to
mass
smallpox
genocide.
blankets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also not great.
Well, anyway, so I'm still playing lots of Monster Hunter World. It's like literally the game I came back to streaming for.
It looks really good. I've seen a lot of people getting into it, and the screenshots are very impressive for the
Oh my
Nintendo Switch.
if you go on the Monster Hunter subreddit, people are like, look at the shit that you can do with this mobility system. It's insane. People are flying all over the place. They're taking gun lances and they are rocket punching themselves across a map to hit a monster. It is bonkers. I love all the improvements that this game is making. It's definitely the best Monster Hunter. Like, of course, I've only played World, but like it is.
I mean,
where I
it's-
wanted
you're
Monster
not
Hunter to
lying.
be
It's the, you're the,
on
it's
the
the best
platform I
Monster Hunter
wanted.
that you ever played. So that's not an incorrect sentence for you to say.
It's perfect. Yeah, they did a really good job on it. And they even said like the first weekend they sold like there was like 5 million copies sold. Like this game is
That's wild.
out of control. It's accessible to a point where like you don't need to be afraid of this game. Like anything before World, people were like turned off to like the sheer like unapproachability of it. But this game is honestly like being on the Switch and just being a really easy game to just dive in and start like fucking around on. It's just a really good experience. And they like this is all stuff I talked about last week, but like they improved the multiplayer like by so much. Like the fact that you can just create a room, the loading times are quick, even on the Switch, and people can just join your party and you just load up a quest and then you just load right into it. They skip all the cutscene bullshit. Like even if you do have a cutscene, everyone watches at the same time. You don't. World had the problem where if you wanted to play with a friend, the host had to load the quest, then go into the quest, find the monster. This is everyone else is just chilling in the hub world. Find the monster, watch the cutscene for the monster, and then everyone could join the quest. And then
I remember that. I did a little bit of that on the PS4.
That's
it
weird.
was backward. It was like to me that showed that they thought about co-op as like an afterthought. Like it was like, okay, we built the game, let's make the multiplayer work now, right? And which they did. It worked on World, but now it's like clearly like there are your single player missions and there are your multiplayer hub missions and arena quests. And
Right.
I got a chance to play one of the new modes that they offer, which is called Rampage Mode. And Rampage Mode lets you and like 3 other people do a tower defense style game. You're defending the gates of the village you're in, and you put up like artillery and set traps. And you and like it was me and like Quail, aka Bob from our server, and oh god, who was the last guy? I'm gonna feel so bad that I can't name drop Quail, Bob, Jay. It was Jay. Oh my god, I would have.
Oh, you
that would've been a nightmare.
You should have left. You should have left. Yeah, that would have been really funny.
Fuck
Oh,
Jay.
man. And we were having a great time. And we were all messing with new weapons. Like I'm not afraid of playing like more advanced weapons now because I know the system is a little bit more forgiving in this one because of the wire bug. The wire bug lets you not get knocked on your ass constantly and then wait for that time to get back to your feet and get back into the fight.
You were saying you can essentially like cast that to get yourself back up instead of waiting for like the oh my god, I'm so hurt animation forever.
Exactly. Yeah. If you have a wire bug available to you, then you can just like use it to pull yourself from the fight and then land back on your feet and like get ready to get back in there. Last night I was trying a bunch of different weapons. I tried the gun blade, which I'm not good at these weapons starting out. So like it was kind of a struggle, but with some practice, man, I could, why not? I'll fucking dive into a new weapon and just go all out. What else did I try? I tried the gun blade, which was a lot of fun. I'm sorry, the gun lance. It's a gun lance. My bad. My apologies.
Yeah, you don't want to.
How does that even work?
So it's you're holding a giant lance and a shield, and you attack with it like a lance. But also one of your attacks, you have shells in your top corner that you have to keep track of, and when you can attack and then fire a shell, and then it's like you're shooting like a burst of fire into the monster when you're fighting, and then you have a reload that you have to do, and your character kind of goes like juk, juk, and like reloads the gun. Or you can
is there a trigger animated on this lance anywhere? I'm just trying to think of the design of a lance that's also a gun.
You got to understand, there's like
because I'm
30
only
variations of it because you can craft different kinds.
Sure.
Just imagining Penguin's like umbrella from Batman.
Oh no! Imagine like a horseback rider's lance. That's what I would do.
No, I know.
Like a knight. That's the best. That's the best description I can give of it.
Like a dragoon.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Also, I did the Insect Glaive, which is a wild weapon. All right, this is a weapon that is highly mobile. It's a bow staff, but you combine it with these kinsects. They're like bugs that you wear in your arm, and you fire these on the monster's body to trigger their weak spots. And you fill up your meter at the top by targeting different parts of the monster's body, and then once you trigger each kinsect on the body, then you unlock your final combo form, and you spin this thing like crazy. You're in the air gliding, and you're dashing in the air at the monsters. Like if you look up videos of Insect Glaive, like pro Insect Glaive players, dude, it's wild. It feels like they're in the air more than they are on the ground when fighting a monster, and it's pretty cool. That would be I think maybe the next weapon I try and get good at. We have one of my friends I'm with is an Insect Glaive player, and that's like he's always in the air, like flying around, like fucking firing bugs at monsters. It's crazy. But either way, game's great. Like I can't recommend it enough. If you're a Switch, hop on and let's play. Like let's fucking kill some monsters together. Another game I played, I just want to real quick. Another game I played over the weekend was the Rez remaster game. Do you guys remember Rez?
Rezo
I
Gun.
think I have a copy of that on a PlayStation 3 somewhere.
Yep, it was a PlayStation original game, and you were essentially just a floating body. And it was kind of like a musical game. It was kind of a music game.
Yes. Yeah.
But you were on a track. It was like a linear track game.
Mm-hmm.
And you floated through this like space, and it's just like a lock on and shoot, right? That's all you're doing. And then you do that the whole time, and it makes like musical sound. It makes music. You make music while shooting things. It was really cool because it was a throwback game, because I haven't played that since PS1 days. And it was offered on PlayStation for free. So I was playing it this weekend, along with Ratchet and Clank, but the remaster, which got the PS5.
Oh, that's why I know it, because I scooped those games too. That's why. I probably don't have it on PS3, but I definitely have it on my PS4 now with the recent offerings of free games.
Yeah, and Ratchet and Clank, that like a week or two ago, got its PS5 update with like full on like 60 frames, 4K. It got the full patch. So I started it. I want to keep playing it, but this week, and hopefully this weekend if I have time, I want to play Oddworld Soulstorm, which was the new free game offered, and I'm hearing great things about it. So maybe next week if I can find the time to like play the Oddworld game, because I've never played an Oddworld game before, and I remember these games back in the Game Pro days. They were everywhere, man. This game was like the hottest thing on PlayStation. I never played this game.
I remember that too.
Yeah, like Abe's Odyssey and like all those games, like but I would love to try this new one. Like they gave it for free for PS5 users. It's free. So maybe next week I'll have something to talk about.
So right now the Oddworld game is free on PS?
On PlayStation Plus, yes.
All right, I'll check it out.
Every month, man, you gotta get in there yeah, they give lots of cool free games. Another game that I do want to play, like I know I want to talk. I know I haven't played these games, but I want to play the game. It Takes Two. Have you guys seen this game?
Yes. Yeah.
It's getting
What is
great
that?
rave reviews. It's made by the guy who made Two Brothers and A Way Out. You might know him
Just
better
Two Brothers.
as
Well, I played A Way Out.
same guy, and he's the guy. Joseph Fares is the guy who makes this game. He's the director, and he's famous for being at the Game Awards. And he got on stage with Jeff Knightley. Damn it,
Keeley.
I do it every fucking time.
It's okay.
On the stage with Jeff Keighley,
I'm sure
and
he'll forgive you.
he goes, "Yo, video games are where it's at. Fuck the Oscars. Fuck them." And I'm like live on his
I do
live
remember
on
that.
the Game Awards. That was him. And Two Brothers looks like a he describes it as a rom-com co-op experience. And you could play it with anybody. Apparently it's a very easy to the game's easily accessible for not even like the biggest of gamers, right? Like you can hop in with anybody and just like play it with a friend or a significant other and have a good time. Which I really want to try. I like those kinds of experiences that you can share with other people, and I think it's special. But anyway, that's what's been on my video game mind. What about
Nice.
you guys? Who's next?
Yeah, Felix, you want to rip it?
Yeah, I'll rip it. Sure.
We don't want to twist your arm, dude. I mean, I don't feel obligated to talk.
You know, the wall market theme. There we go.
He's in the
there it
wall
is.
market.
More of
Yeah.
On the
that.
wall
yep.
market.
Yeah, so I'm continuing.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm continuing to play Final Fantasy VII. How fucking long is this game, dude? How many chapters? I'm on chapter 10.
Remember, Felix,
Yeah.
remember, everything that you're experiencing is in the first, maybe, if we're being generous, first 3 hours of Final Fantasy VII.
Right. But how many
stretch-
chapters? How many chapters are
It's like a
in
piece
this
of
version
pizza,
of
just the mozzarella just forever, just going and going.
Trip.
He just wants to answer his question. How many fucking chapters? Since he can't Google this by himself, and
I won't.
tell him how many fucking
Is
chapters
it
are in
13?
this
I
one.
feel like I don't know exactly, but I feel like it's
14.
like 13 or something.
All right.
13, 14.
13.
Maybe the Yuffie chapter we're getting in June is 14. It's one of
I'm at the
something.
part with where they try to bring down the plate, and that's where I'm on the plate. I'm defending people.
It's
Yeah,
18.
you're not quite there yet.
18. Okay, wow.
18 chapters.
A character,
I was way
a
off.
character just died. That's all I'll be able to tell you. Like not like a main character, but like a side character.
They're all main
But-
characters in our hearts.
My only criticism, it's not really a criticism. It can't be because I got myself into it. I made the choice to be there.
I like how
is-
you're being a little bit self-reflective here, but
Yeah.
come on.
I mean, it's not like
We love character development.
no, because I'm always the guy. I'm the guy who's always like, "Oh, the devs are fucking fuck the devs."
Yes.
They did the thing.
Yes, you are.
In this case, I know it's their design. I know they've been doing it for a long time. They've been doing it longer than I've been bitching about people doing that.
They're also true.
So, like, I can't really fault them for it, but what's kind of annoying for me is, like, story. I'm really engaged. This is great. Big, giant boss fight that I can't fucking do in a very short amount of time. Like, the boss fights are
You're at the
laboring.
point. Yes, you're at the point, Felix, right now where when you hit a major like boss fight milestone, you're going to take a couple attempts to do it, and that's by design for sure. But they
like
these
what
are
else would
giant
that
moments.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was done. I'm just saying, like they are making these like monster fights that are memorable in the games, like these
Right.
tentpole moments.
No,
That's all Final Fantasy is. Like without it, what would you be? You would just be running around and killing mobs that are easy to beat.
No, what I'm used to doing is when I play games that are heavy story games with big cutscenes like this game has, but then boss fights are definitely like not as meticulously managed. And it's just the style of Final Fantasy. I get it. It's why so many people like shied away from it when we were young gamers. It's like, that's too complicated. I'll go play Mario. You know, like that's you guys being the people who endured Final Fantasy and put yourself through it. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
that there's a compliment to that, because like
it's
more complicated than an average game.
You threw out Mario as almost like that game wasn't challenging. I can't play Mario to this day. I can't.
Obviously.
I cannot play that game.
We can all
Like,
agree.
I'm terrible at it. So I think it all depends on like your skill set or what you want to work on as a gamer.
Yeah.
But to your point, yeah, like you're going to be really, really challenged.
No, I just
these
have to
big
pay
upcoming
attention
fights.
to the numbers really close. That's the thing that's annoying about the fights, because it's like, so I did the Hell House and I complained about that, but then right after that, I'm dumped into a sewer with a giant bull creature and it was the same shit. I'm like, oh, fuck, now what do I got to put on? And it's just me trying to learn how to use the assess tool better. Like, assess the creature's weaknesses. And then
like
put on
you're
the
playing
right
a lot
fucking...
of catch up.
Yeah.
Like you're playing a lot of catch up. So I could see it. Like I was a little harsh in my criticism to you about like it taking some thought to beat the boss, because it is such like a standard in all Final Fantasy games. But playing it for the first time when you're used to quote unquote bosses or harder enemies being managed and presented in a certain way in games, it can be drastically different.
I guess I should say in action RPG, what I'm typically used to is figuring that shit out on the fly as I stare at the boss and it's throwing shit.
Of course, and you're learning the mechanics as you go. Sure.
And
like,
this
the
game
difference...
is more like pause it, look at the creature shit, read the text on how the creature can fucking die quicker, and then switch all your shit. Actually, I use the last battle, like exit fight last battle, like so it puts you right before the last battle you were fighting. I use that really frequently. I told these guys that, but I'm telling you, Locke. Like, I'll go into a fight, the creature's there, I have assess on my one character on Cloud, and then what I'll do is I'll just assess the creature's weaknesses and then go, okay, let's just start the fight over. And then I start fresh. I put all the materia on that I need to defeat the fucking creature. But go ahead, Trip.
I think you land on something that's interesting to this release of the game. In an action game, you can get kind of complacent in your battle style because of the action. Like, especially starting out with this game from the beginning, you're used to literally hacking and slashing. And if you don't pay attention to the abilities and to the numbers, to the weaknesses, all that kind of stuff, you're going to come up against the wall pretty hard, because this game is going to live strongly in the Final Fantasy realm, even though there are more action elements to it. The director being, of course, the Kingdom Hearts director. So it just, you're discovering that right now, and it's fun to see you on this journey, and I'm glad you're still playing it and not being like, I'm done with this.
No, I'm not going to quit.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, my first like real experience with this, because I think it got like progressively harder as Final Fantasy games came out, right? So like, at least that's the way that I take it, because I've played them pretty much backwards, right? Because like my first Final Fantasy was 8. I skipped 9 at the time. I played 10, then I went backwards through time. But like in 10, I remember very vividly there was a fight where you were fighting 3 enemies that were a collective, and each enemy had to be killed via a certain way. Like one was
one elemental or something.
One you needed to use elemental. One you needed to be able to use just regular damage, and then the other one you needed to be able to use your summons and kill with like what you were summoning. And it was a really hard fight. And like it took a lot to learn, and if your party was not built out the right way, or the characters that you needed to use were not built out the right way, it was like almost impossible to beat.
Dude, the most interesting one that, you know, I didn't get pissed at, I was like, this is just like really well designed, was the Ghost in the Train Yard. That whole sequence, the Ghost in the Train Yard.
Oh, Train Yard's tough.
That's but it's also my favorite sequence. It's like super creepy. The music changes into this like like a horror movie. And then you have all this weird writing that keeps showing up on shit. And I was like, wow, this game's so like funny. Whole dynamic change. It feels like I'm in Resident Evil. I was like, this is really cool.
The game takes like a bunch of detours at certain times, which can be good or bad. But like, I love when the game does that, except for Hojo's laboratory. Well, we won't talk about that later.
Probably not.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the Train Yard's amazing, because like that was, I don't remember that even being a huge sequence in the original game.
It was 2 panels.
2 panels, yeah. And they made it into this whole thing, and they added more character interaction with like the 3 characters you were with. Oh my god, it was That game is so freaking good.
Yeah,
They did such a good job with it.
and then they blew me away with the actual boss fight, which was like a giant ghost. And the cool mechanic there was he would have these two phases. One where if you used like swords on him and like basic attacks, he would be immune. It was like he was going between corporeal, like physical, and non-corporeal, and it was really cool that like I would have to like switch I would switch to Cloud when he was physical, and then I would switch to Aerith for magic when he was in his non-corporeal form. So that was like cool because I had to figure it out at first.
That's the kind of thing the battle system encourages you to do. It encourages you to like constantly think on your feet and pay attention to what's happening in the fights. They want you to like not just become complacent with general just like beat things till they die. They want you to use all the tools at your disposal, which is pretty great praise for it.
Because especially in Final Fantasy, above like an action RPG, like your characters get so powerful that like they need to be challenged, because like it would be just as easy as casting a high level magic spell like Ultima and the thing is dead.
There's,
so like
there's usually always a way to find one exploit very early on and just you're good.
You're good. Yeah. Like, and I think about like in I'm going to keep using the Final Fantasy X one because it's on my my mind. But like when you fight Sin at the end, like when younger me, it was like, oh, I'm going to just use all my powerful summons and I'm going to just beat this dude with summons. And he slapped the shit out of me. Yeah. And I went through like my whole every summon that I had, even the highest tier one. And that's the game telling me, no, you can't just summon whatever, right? To kill this thing, you need to use the mechanics and you need to work as a team, as a party, to buff and debuff and do it, right?
Yeah.
And like it's crazy because I kept trying to bang my head against the wall doing it this way because I just figured that was the way that it needed to be done.
Let me send all the damage in the world at his face, and that's gonna be it.
And then like I think it was the second attempt of not summoning at all unless I needed to survive that I beat it. And it was like, and I had tried it like maybe 10 times before with this one method, and finally was like, all right, let me try something new. And I think that's what's really unique about Final Fantasy or just JRPGs in general is you end up getting these really overpowered characters, and the game mechanics need to challenge you in new ways and learn and do different things in order to keep proceeding with the game.
There was one fight thus far where I felt the summons actually was helpful. I have the Ifrit summons on Cloud, with the big giant fire demon from hell or whatever. And I was going up against a creature that it was that bull creature that I talked about in the sewer. I didn't realize that he was just exclusively fire to damage him. And then I was like, oh, I should just put Cloud in here. And then when the summons available, use his summons. Because you can only use one summons from one of the characters once the bar's full.
Right. Yeah.
So the first time I didn't realize that the creature was fire, and I used the Shiva, which is frost, and it was ineffective, and I was like, fuck. And then I did my assess, figured out the creature was vulnerable to fire, and then it was just like, oh, I'll just use the Ifrit when it fills. And that Ifrit just fucked that shit up.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's fire, and that's the thing's weakness, and it was just like rain fire and just kick some ass. Yeah. So that's how I was able to beat that fight. So
you should take that with you into all future fights. Just realizing that you need to think about how you approach the fight.
Besides the Hell House, the most nerve-wracking, angry fucking fights I've done were trying to get those summons with that little dickhead kid, whatever the fuck his name is.
Chadley,
the shithead you meet in every town. Hey, man, can you help me, Cloud, with my fucking whatever the fuck
he is a little wiener, dude. He put on the VR headset, and then you just got to earn a new summon. Yeah. They're tough fights, too.
Those are really tough fights, man.
Yeah.
But
those are specific, like those are your training grounds for all other fights, because all other fights are going to be masked in terms of weaknesses. The summon fights are just going to lay it all out there and be very obvious what a weakness is, but they're going to challenge you like a hard level boss. So it's literally it's called training ground, but it literally is that for a player who may not be used to that kind of that play style.
The two that I've gotten so far, I got the Shiva, and then I got Fat Chocobo.
Mm-hmm.
That chocobo.
Which is fucking hilarious. That whole part was just zany and weird, and I was just like, "What the fuck is happening?" But whatever, it's cool. And then I was telling Trip through the text that I got to the part where Cloud in the game, which is kind of a spoiler, but fuck you. Cloud,
fuck you.
No, where Cloud, where Cloud has to dress up in Wall Market.
It's a great sequence.
Yeah, that part was great.
Literally talking to Felix about that moment, I didn't realize that Cloud's not the only one with costume options.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I got a completely different costume.
Aerith, and Cloud all have 3 different options. There are 9 total dresses.
Yeah, so I got something different than Trip
I was
Zero.
today years old. Yep.
Yeah, I ended up.
I was today years old.
So my Neo, I don't know what you had for Tifa, but my Tifa had a kimono. That was cute. That was very cute. Yeah.
And mine had a blue dress, which is like, and then everyone had a dress that was a nod to the original, and mine was the Tifa blue dress, the Aerith original red dress.
How do you pick a different dress?
It all depends on your combination of quests. So there are like 2 primary quest lines in Wall Market, and then like each of those have sub options, and it's all depending on how you play that sequence.
I don't know what I did to get that, but it was cool. And did we determine my Cloud dress was like different?
Yours was different than mine. I think I had the lighter one. They're all frilly like that, but they all have different like color schemes.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm on chapter 10, and I'm still playing it and like it, and I'm
so glad you're just like.
I like the story. Like I said, I like the story more than the boss fights, but that's it.
No, of course. The story's good, man, and they did a good job like making it believable, which it was hard for a game that came out in '97.
Yeah, but I want to ask you guys one question though. Is this adaptable content? Like, do you think you could look at an actor playing these characters in anything but an animated movie?
No.
Right.
I don't.
I don't like other games that I played, like Last of Us and things like that. Oh, as an anime?
What are you asking?
I mean,
I'm sorry.
I was saying, are these stories adaptable to you? Like, could you see live action actors play these characters in some of these Final Fantasy
What was the Final Fantasy VII movie?
The movie? Advent Children.
Advent Children was fucking incredible. But like,
was that live action?
CG.
No, it was CG.
Yeah.
And it was really good. In my opinion.
Yeah, I watched it last year when the
but like, I think it's pretty. I don't know. I don't think so. Besides like those specific things where maybe it expands upon the story in a new medium, but I don't think it can become this like Game of Thrones style IP.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would need a lot of work, a lot of care. It could only ever be a television show. It would need to do a lot of things that I feel like people who are producing it wouldn't want to do for a TV show. And look, I mean, I'm a proponent of never say never, but that would be probably the most challenging thing to adapt in a believable way.
I was just wondering what you thought.
It's hard because oftentimes video game media is meant to live in that space, right? Like we know that people are they're adapting games left and right, but like I think there's a way you could do it for Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, there's definitely a way you could. You would,
but you would lose like the humor and the little meta jokes that they have in there, and the characters are more free to be weird. Like the characters are weird in that game, right? Like just straight up, like Cloud is not really a likable protagonist.
Yeah,
right?
we don't live in a world right now where that kind of story would be taken seriously. On television. Television is too serious right now for, not that it's a bad thing, but like television's too serious for that.
Yeah,
and
I know what you mean.
I don't know if people could produce it in the way they would need to be produced in the current era, the current golden age of television. It needs to have camp.
Yeah, I'm like,
to
be honest,
in a way that's not campy. It's so hard to just like, you know what I'm saying, but it's
no,
so hard
I know
to put into
exactly
words.
what you're saying because I'm terrified of the Fallout show that's going to come out. Like,
is there really a Fallout show happening?
Yeah, because the
missed
Fallout
that. Oh my God.
by Amazon, because the Fallout show
Ooh,
is
yikes.
the games are super campy. And,
Yeah,
like,
see, it's just gonna. I'll put money on it that it's just sharing the IP name. It's not gonna be it's gonna be a post-apocalyptic show.
Yeah, it's gonna be gritty as fuck. It's
with Fallout slapped on top of it, right? It's not
Mhm.
gonna be it's not gonna be Fallout the TV series.
right.
Not in the way that you're
Kristen
thinking.
Garvey walking around being all goofy and shit.
Yeah, I mean there'll
Yeah.
be things, there'll be nods, there'll be call outs, there'll be branding and things, but like it's not. I will be pleasantly surprised if it is like a game to TV replication.
Right.
Like I just don't think they'll do that.
I bet it'll be more like The Walking Dead,
Right,
yeah.
than it would be
That's
like.
what I'm saying.
you know,
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly my point. Yeah, that it's gonna be they're just using the IP name to get people into it. You
Right.
know, like
Mhm.
that's the. But I'm more concerned about the Lord of the Rings TV show, if I'm being honest with you, just because I don't want them to fuck it up. But
That's a little
Yeah.
scary too.
Well, it's kind of
yeah,
already.
it's,
It's already.
it's a different conversation. But
Yeah.
yeah,
we can
What a
talk
TV
about
show would have to do, Felix, a TV show would have to do the equivalent of what the remake did to the original. Because before the remake actually hit, we're sitting here like they're gonna fuck it up. They're gonna go too gritty with it. It's
True.
not gonna have the vibe that the original, and it had all of the vibe of the original and more. So
that's true.
if they did it, it would need to do that for television. And I don't. Look, I was wrong once. I could be wrong again. But the work that would take,
it.
you know.
Yeah,
Just wondering.
yeah, it's true. It's a good point.
Penny for your thoughts.
Anyway, I'm gonna skip. I have nothing that I've done this week. I've played some more Final Fantasy 14. I'm still very deep into that. I'm at the end of Stormblood. I'm literally my next mission is called Stormblood. So I'm at the final mission for that expansion, and then I'll be able to get to the newest one once I clean up like the in between main story quests. I'm very excited. I'm living
excited
more in the
for that
world, and I'm
Uh,
getting a better grasp on how to play that game, which has eluded me for years,
years.
even though I've been a legacy member. But that's about it. Nothing super new.
Once you get to Shadowlands, no, What's Shadowbringer, Stormbringer, whatever.
See, I would have known it, but if you fucked my brain up now with this. I think Shadowbringers, yeah.
Shadowbringers.
Yeah.
I would love to pop in and do like some of those raids and shit with you. Like, well, because you're gonna
Oh,
have
for
to
sure,
via the story.
Yeah.
It's a game activate. I know I'm gonna reactivate my account closer to the newer expansion and
Well,
like
that's
kind of
an
get my
expansion coming
feet
out.
back in.
Well,
the
not
world.
an expansion, but the patch is next Tuesday. The final patch before the newest expansion planned for this summer.
Right, which I know I'll definitely be hopping into, and I'm sure Rowan will and Jay is in it.
Yeah, everyone.
100%.
Rowan's
We got
my
a crew. We
my
got a crew
Sherpa.
we can roll with.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah, and I plan on playing that with my brother. Shadowbringers. He's already queued up. He's like ready to go. So I said, just hang on. I promise. I'm burning through. So we're gonna gear up and just do some of those story missions together. And that'll be fun because I've never played actual new content with someone. Even though it's last year's, it'll be new for both of us. So that'll be fun to kind of tackle together in a group.
That's cool.
Hell
that's
yeah.
cool.
And that's
Block, what's up?
Nothing much. I'll be quick. I downloaded 2 new games, and I don't have much to share because I've only just started playing them. But I signed up for Game Pass and I started Octopath Traveler,
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
which I'm very upset about so far on a fundamental level because they don't have cursor and mouse support. Every menu system is with your
Oh,
D.
really?
So
It wants you
that's
to.
annoying.
It wants you to use a controller. Then that's what it wants you to
yeah.
do.
So I only started it and then put it down because I don't know what box my controller is in. So I was just really disappointed that a game didn't have a fucking cursor. and
Yeah,
mouse
that is surprising, honestly.
one, but
That
I'm
game
still gonna
didn't
play it because like what was
did it
that, Felix?
originate on PC?
It was out first on Switch, then it came to Steam, and now it's on
Mhm.
Game Pass.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Which I get it. Maybe I'm being too nitpicky, but
It's a port. It's a port from a console game, right? Like
but I
it's-
feel like if you're gonna port it,
You're playing this on the PC Game Pass, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I think if you're putting a game
You're
on
not
a
wrong.
PC Game Pass, it needs to have mouse and keyboard support.
But that's what these
Yeah.
companies do, man. They just
Yeah.
port it. They do like a straight
Octopath
port.
Traveler doesn't have that, and Saboteur isn't on consoles. Fuck you.
Yeah, we got
The
you. dude.
Retaliation.
The difference is I will do the minimal work to plug in my controller. You won't do the minimal work to slide over to the right and turn your PC on and play on your PC. So, it's weird because like I don't have a full size keyboard, so like I can only menu with WASD. Like I don't have arrow keys, so it felt super clunky to try and
Yeah,
play
it's
it.
weird.
But I definitely want to play it because I haven't played a game in that style in a long time. So like a old school JRPG, like I really want to get into it. So hopefully I'll have more once I can find my Xbox controller. And the other game that I downloaded and just started playing, which is probably going to take me a long time to get through, is Pillars of Eternity 2. So that's been on my docket for a long time. That just got added to PC Game Pass, like
Nice.
I think this month.
Game Pass is where it's at, man.
I'm playing the first one.
It really is.
Yeah, I played the first one and I loved the first one. I actually liked Pillars of Eternity more than I liked Divinity: Original Sin. And I never played the second Divinity game, but I've wanted to play Deadfire for a while. So I downloaded it and booted it up. And I just really miss isometric games. Like there's not so many of them.
There's not.
Did you ever play Path? What's it called? Path
Path of
That's
Exile.
Path of Exile.
I've played
It's more
Path
of a
Exile.
Diablo game.
That's a Diablo, yeah. Like I've played Path of Exile and I played it a decent amount. I never got
Jism
into
Crow is very
any.
into that.
Yeah, Jism Crow is deep into that. Our buddy Manimal, who you've played D1 with,
Yeah.
Felix, and Trip, you might have played early D2 with him, but
I
Manimal
know
is like,
definitely chatted with him in voice in Discord.
he's a
playing something, yeah.
big Path of Exile player. Like I think he was just streaming it the other day, but
They were trying to
so
get me over to play it when like the Deepstone Crypt runs were starting to trickle out, and
Yeah.
Crow's saying like I'm on this. There's an expansion on this. I'm hopping over there. You should come with. They were definitely trying to do the hard recruit.
Yeah. That game is like, oh god, it's fun, but it's a whole ass thing to
Yeah.
fucking get into Path of Exile. Like the skill trees in that game are insane. So trying to learn it and then make builds and then it's just too much for
It's a
me.
lot, yeah.
To be honest.
I've tried a few times.
Yeah, like the one thing that Diablo makes it easy is it's more accessible. You know, it's just like Path of Exile. You need to that's all you do, and you need to read guides and find out builds, and it's just a
Number
lot.
sheets and math and just the nitty gritty.
But yeah, so I'm excited for Pillars of Eternity. Like I'm a huge fan of Obsidian, and I really love the first game. So I started that with some free time. So those are the two new things. So hopefully I'll get some more time with them, and I can share more in the future. But Game Pass, yeah, dude, it's really hard to not download like 400 things in Game Pass.
I know.
And pretend like I'm gonna play them all, right? Because there's so much there. It's such an incredible value now. That it's
I'm gonna beat Ori. I'm gonna beat Ori from it.
Yeah, that's another one. Like I haven't played Ori, and it's there. Like there's so much there.
Mhm.
And especially when you consider, the fact that we're getting backwards compatible games because Xbox is significantly better than Sony.
That sounds like a transition.
It is.
Let's rip it.
Yeah. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about tonight was the simple fact that Microsoft is continuously doubling down on backwards compatibility for their original Xbox, Xbox 360, and Xbox One backwards compatibilities for their next generation consoles. And they haven't backed away from this, and they've continuously showed that it's something that they are invested in. And when it first came out and they talked about how they wanted to do it, and like every once in a while a new original Xbox game would come out, like I personally felt like it was going to teeter out and fizzle out, and it would just
I did too. Yeah.
disappear into the like non-existent void of like the Google graveyard of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And they've really shown that like they find this to be a core and valuable thing that gamers want.
It's where the industry is going in terms of like online accessibility, especially with this everything going digital. And the fact that Nintendo, the fact that Sony early on their consoles had full-on hardware support for retro games is great. but that's not how games are played now. And it doesn't matter that they did it in the past, because right now all they're repeatedly telling consumers is that we don't actually care what you want to play. We want you to buy the newest thing. There was even a Sony CEO that said, "Why would anybody play this?" when talking
Yeah.
about a specific retro game. So the mindset is completely different than it used to be, and it's gonna just lead Microsoft to so much more financial success with whatever they put out.
You make a really interesting point. Like when I was reading the article, like I thought about, I will never get rid of that PS3 that I bought from Felix because it's a backwards compatible PS3. Like I will hold on to that thing until it no longer works, because anytime I want to play a PS1 or PS2 title, it's the machine that I would do it.
Yeah.
Right. Physical disc, that is, right. And like the article brings that up. The article brings up the fact that, like, when the PS3 launched, like it had that hardware, and then they backtracked from it, even on a hardware level. But you make a really good point that, like, that's not what we do anymore. Like there's a smaller subset of gamers that buy physical media and want to play physical media versus digital media.
Mhm.
That it's the hardware is irrelevant at this point for the vast majority. It's just releasing the games digitally and having that catalog available to your consumers is really what we're looking for at this point.
Yep.
And Microsoft has taken it a step further and is actually patching games and releasing games that get significant FPS boosts and increased graphics and all. They're not just ports. Some of these games are like,
This week they added touch controls to a lot of xCloud and Game Pass games.
perfect example. That's a huge thing.
That means increased accessibility for any game that didn't have that before. So that's another thing that they're taking another step forward in preserving the games and making it more accessible to people who couldn't do it before.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to like cut you off.
No, it's a really good point. It's going in tandem with what I'm talking about, is the fact that, like, they're not only giving you the games, but they're making them more accessible. They're increasing the value by making them more playable performance-wise on new hardware, giving you the ability to play it at a higher frame rate than obviously what the 30 FPS was back when an original Xbox game was made, right? So,
And are touch controls assignable? Do you know that, Neo?
Don't know. I haven't played it on a touch device. It's for a lot of xCloud games,
Mhm.
and if you want to play your Game Pass games on your mobile device.
Sure.
I don't know. I just know that that is something that they added this week.
Well, I was thinking of another angle. If it's assignable, which I imagine that it might be if you're like working through like a virtual controller method, a virtual input method, that means the games are literally more compatible with Microsoft's accessibility options, which let gamers who don't have the means to traditionally play a game play games. And they're also the only company that's leading in this kind of gameplay interface. So I don't know, man. They're doing the damn thing. They're doing it for gamers.
yeah, I feel like it's the same thing that we've talked about. This is my take on it. And it's the same thing that's been brought up on this podcast many times, is like, it was an easy thing that I think Microsoft saw because they didn't have titles coming out to say, like, let's invest in this area, right? Like, let's look at our library. Let's do these things to our library and offer it to our gamers, because we're not giving them something from this hand. We're not giving them new content, great first party titles. Let's invest in this. And these other developers, these other platforms that's all they're going based off of, is their IP, right? It's the same, it's the same age old thing, is infrastructure and features are not what's in the forefront of the PlayStation platform or the Switch platform. Once Microsoft catches up with first party studios and titles that are exclusive to PC and Xbox, it becomes harder and harder for a gamer that's not concerned about specific IP titles to choose that platform as their sole platform for gaming. More and more people are going to gravitate towards Xbox and Microsoft because of all of the things that encompasses the ecosystem, so to speak. But that's my gut on it. They were like, well, we ain't got any titles, so let's go make Knights of the Old Republic playable on, everything,
exactly.
right?
It ended up being the better long-term play, especially as all the hardware disappeared and all the options to play this old stuff went away.
Or they don't have any titles because they had this plan longer than we think.
You're
Yeah,
giving them a
maybe.
lot of credit there, though.
Too
I
much
don't know.
credit. I'm giving them a lot.
A lot of credit.
They just
I mean,
they didn't plan to make any games because they were planning on doing it this way.
I mean, when Phil Spencer took over the Xbox division after the disastrous launch of the Xbox One, that was probably the start of them pivoting. But they were already in a position where they were already kind of behind PlayStation with the generation. Xbox went into the new generation, already knowing that they were ahead with the Xbox 360 and knowing that they had this leap. And when companies do that, they get complacent. And Sony's kind of doing that right now. They're getting to a point where, yes, they have the games, they have the first party titles, but they are getting into a position where they're like, fuck the old games, screw PlayStation now.
Honestly,
screw our large catalog.
Yeah,
right?
honestly, Nintendo is in that position. They've been in that position for a while, but Nintendo occupies so many other unique spaces that PlayStation doesn't at this point that it doesn't matter. They're still going to be Nintendo, even if they decide, even if they just like don't engage and sit on their laurels as the king of whatever market they're in.
Dude, the craziest announcement this week from Xbox was the fact that MLB The Show, a Sony-made game, is going to be day one on Game Pass.
Yeah, that's massive. That franchise was only Sony for years and years and years.
Literally, you have a better deal to play that game if you want to play it on an Xbox or PC over the Sony first-party platform, because Sony doesn't have a system like Game Pass, or unless they put it on PlayStation Plus that month, like you're not getting that experience.
And you won't, because it's a brand new game. So you're paying 70 if you have a PS5. You're paying $60-70 on PlayStation with Sony, or you just own any of the consoles or a computer, and you pay for essentially what's Xbox Live Gold, what you've been paying for years and years.
I mean, if it comes to PC, I don't know if that was in the article. If it's just console.
Yeah, true.
But no, the reason why I say it is because if it is, I have not played an MLB game in a very long time.
We were talking about Ken Griffey Jr. Slugfest
because it was literally exclusive to PlayStation for the longest time. I mean, there hasn't been an Xbox title. I mean, it was been RBI Baseball, which looks like a fucking
2K
the kitty one,
yeah,
it's like have their MLB games, but they were never as good as the show.
They never were, and then they stopped making them, and then the show was the only.
Would that be a game that? Would that be a game that could be played with keyboard and mouse?
No, but I would plug in my controller. I mean, probably, yeah, but I would plug in my controller.
It's just like the controller has like almost like that. What's that game? Golden Tee like effect when you're swinging the bat. Like for manual controls, all I ever use is manual controls.
Yeah. I mean,
like I manual bat and I manual pitch. So,
right.
And because it feels like Golden Tee, that's what it feels like.
I don't know, man. You can take a mouse and you can fucking swing that mouse. It might be a little more realistic. Who knows?
I mean, you can use like the button pressing options, because they have like a button that's a power hit and a button that's a medium hit and a normal hit, and then the button that's like just contact hit. Like you can do it that way.
2013 was the last MLB 2K game, and that was 360. So
I'll tell you, I can vouch for it, Locke. It's a good game, man. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah, I mean, if it does come for PC, I would definitely. I mean, again, to Tripp's point, like why wouldn't I just download it if I have the hard drive space and it's there for when I want to?
Yeah, it's wild.
Hop in and play.
Yeah, Iron was asking me this week. He's thinking about creating a league now. I don't understand what that even looks like. Am I a player on our team playing other teams in the world? Or am I that? Yeah. Like, I don't know. Or are we have our full team? Like,
man, just say yes to it all and just go along for the ride.
I already said yes. I don't care. I'll figure out how that works. But I'll definitely.
It's funny. According to GameIndustry.biz, the decision to put it as on Xbox Game Pass was an MLB decision. That wasn't.
I mean, they looked at they probably had one person that knew this landscape and was like, "We gotta be on Microsoft, guys. Like this is like all the homes this is in." And then they're like, "Oh, they're right," and then change the contracts.
So the show came out in 2006 and has been exclusive to Sony since 2006. They've only been selling their game to PlayStation players. I mean,
crazy.
someone must have finally been like, guys, what the fuck are we doing?
Well,
Like,
look, like you said, at the time until 2013, there was a competitor that was on the Xbox console.
true.
What
True.
was it?
So
2K.
it was the 2K series.
So there was a 2K baseball. I
But-
didn't even know that.
Yep, until 2013, and then I guess the license ran out for them, and they decided not to renew it. Just like the NCAA games, which apparently are coming back eventually. I'm not sure. I'm not a sports person, but I heard rumors that they are coming back, and that lost out due to conflicts with the players because they were not being named in that game.
Correct.
I remember that whole thing. That was like,
Yeah.
well, we don't have to name or use the likenesses of the players at the time, and it was this whole big like lawsuit / kerfuffle. I don't know what the professional term
There's
is.
a lot of real fucked up things in the NCAA about, profiting off the players, but not actually compensating the players. And I'm sure that all got even messier when they started putting out licensed products with their
article-
brand,
Right.
but involving basketball
their
players
argument is like,
in school.
they're
Yeah.
college students. We're giving them the opportunity, or like we have them in like their scholarship, and like that's what they're getting. They're getting like
Exposure,
I don't
bro.
know. It was this whole thing. Yeah, exactly. Which is
The article the article named a player who for years has refused to have his likeness in games, and I think he just passed away. Hank Aaron is now going to be in 2021 according to this article. I don't know if that's even true, but
Wow.
the one thing that I found in 2020, and it's been around, it was in 2019, I didn't know it was there. I found this thing called the Player Vault. Do you guys know what this is?
No idea.
I've never
So-
played the game.
So people
no.
so before
Same.
you start your season, if you're like trying to beef your roster up, or you're trying to like just, fucking, I don't know, you want to change up the season, you like me. I did all legends when I did a legendary draft. I did all the shit. But I beefed it up before I started my first season. And, like I made Kevin O'Toole. He's in my fucking game. Like Kevin O'Toole plays every night with me on the fucking Phillies. I made him third base. I made Kevin O'Toole fucking third base.
Phillies third baseman.
But anyway, yeah. So anyway, like I'm looking at this player vault. Player vault is where players can create players and upload them. And like you can find all the people who refused likeness on a game, like who said we're a player, we don't want to be involved in that. Players can make them and then upload them to the vault, and then anyone can download them into their rosters. I was like, holy shit. Like, I started looking for all these players. I tried to create Barry Bonds and add him into my game. I could have just looked them up. There were 65 different Barry Bonds creations that were made by players, and they're all rated
Did any of them
and
have
shit.
Did any of them have the earrings?
Oh, yeah. Like, they're rated.
It's
Some of
wonderful.
them are, like, absolutely 100% realistic looking. And you're
That's
just
interesting that you can make real players in the creative player, because MLB
Right.
is really weird about that. Like for years I've wanted a Phillies shirt Z with So Taguchi number 99, just this one-off player who was just there for the World Series, right? He was just on the bench. Like the dude just did it. I think he made like one play. I wanted a So Taguchi t-shirt forever. They never printed one, of course. And when I went to MLB.com to customize one, they're like, you can't get this printed because he's not on the team. And we cannot sell you this with him not being on the team. We can't like give you product with these people not actually being part of the team.
Right.
So it's interesting to me that you can make actual players.
Yeah. Like,
You-
I
like,
didn't,
you can't
I
even
didn't get
do
crazy
players
with
that
it.
aren't playing anymore with
I
MLB.
wanted to search to see if somebody made Michael Jordan from when he played baseball on the Nationals.
I mean,
Like,
sounds
I don't
he
know if they
definitely could.
did, but like Michael Jordan classically never showed up in any sports games. It would always be like in every basketball game, it would be like number 23. Like, and that's what it would be. I'm curious to see if somebody made him and I'll put Michael Jordan on my fucking team.
He might be out there.
Probably. He had a stint in baseball.
Was it the Nationals? He played for the Nationals,
No.
right?
I don't think it was the Nationals.
Yeah, maybe I'm remembering that wrong. I don't remember
You
the
might.
team.
I don't remember. The Nationals isn't ringing a bell, but it's funny reading the comments on this article. The top comment, the top comment for the MLB the Show article is, I really question someone's mental health if they choose a PlayStation 5 over an Xbox at this point.
That's a great point, man.
And then
That's a great
down.
point.
And then the second one is $70. To your point, Trip, it's the second best comment is $70 on a PS5 versus $15 sub on Xbox. Surprised Sony allowed this as it does not reflect well on their services at all. Game Pass is the best thing to happen in gaming in a really, really long time.
Well, apparently Sony didn't.
Comments from regular gamers.
Yeah, I would imagine Sony would never let this go on their own, but it is not coming for PC, by the way. It's only coming for
Got it.
console. But
Gotcha.
still,
Yeah.
yeah. What I need is I need an NFL Blitz remake to come because NFL Blitz was the shit. That is my favorite
too bad
sports game of all
you're
time.
getting shitty Madden games forever because they don't make that game better at all, apparently.
And that was made by Midway, NFL Blitz. Oh, God, it was
Oh
such a good
no,
game.
rest in peace, Midway.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
so good. Unless Midway somehow gets arisen and shows up at our digital E3 this year.
That's what. Yeah.
You never
dude.
know. You never know.
On to the next. On to the next. On to the next.
Because E3 is back in digital form.
E3 is back.
So the wild thing about this news was because I kind of saw this happen in real time. At first, when the rumors before E3 officially announced, the ESA officially announced this, people were circulating that it was going to be a paid online experience, and then they dropped the actual news and said no, it's going to be an actual, free digital event, right? How would they do it before? And that kind of put a relief to people because the biggest comment I saw was like, what, you're going to make us pay to watch a bunch of trailers? Like, are you serious? Like a bunch of like ads?
Right.
Which I agree, kind of silly to do that. Hang on, I don't actually have the article pulled up if you guys want to like chime in real quick.
Well, this is what we expected them to do. Just announce some kind of a virtual experience. Now, they didn't announce really anything other than the fact that they were doing it, which we all kind of expected this. They did say that everything is going to be, freely accessible. There's no paywall. Everyone can see everything that they're going to be announcing or they're going to be involved in. Free to access is their language due to unannounced global media partners. But what I thought was interesting in one of their announcement messages was that they still are trying to make this like valuable to industry insiders. And again, this is very, very, it's not even very light on details. There are no details. They said, we're back, baby, is all they've said. But they specifically said, we look to excite the fans with major reveals and insider opportunities to make this event the indispensable center stage for video games. They clearly still want to be this, but they haven't said how they're going to do it. But look out, world.
So the weird thing about this, now if we compare it to what happened last year, right? Last year, E3 they weren't ready for COVID, and they weren't ready for the digitalness of.
Who was? If we're being
no
kind
one
here.
was, which is totally fine. That's like, yeah, like of course,
But the E3 writing on the wall was there for a long time.
yeah. But the problem is what we got last year was literal months of announcements spread out across, like, I want to say weeks. Like there were like weeks of different announcements that it was kind of hard to like keep track. Like, I appreciate E3 because everything is condensed and it's one show, and I know that week I'm going to get all the information I can possibly get, and then we're ready for the year. The year is, we know what we're getting for the holidays, and we know what's coming in the future. The problem is I don't know if I'm articulating this well enough.
I keep going.
Yeah, keep going. I don't want to chime in and take over your thought. But
No, it's fine. It comes down to like there was no organization, right? Like everything was just like a mess of announcements, and there was like I barely remember anything that was announced last year or any of the big things because I don't have a date or a one showcase to like bring up or pinpoint.
Sure, yeah.
I guess.
No, I've never thought about this until you brought it up. Yeah, I think it's a valid point that it's really hard to follow. Like it's hard enough to follow news that I care about, because everything else that goes on your day-to-day lives, that like E3 was always a time that you could set aside to say, okay, this weekend or this week, I'm going to absorb all of this. I'm going to find out about all the things that I want to play, and I'm going to obviously remember those things because there are these tentpole titles that I'm like really excited to see, and I get all that information condensed in one sitting. And that definitely did not happen this year. It was all trickled out randomly over time. And I definitely, one, either missed titles that I probably would have been interested in that I would have seen if I was watching an E3 press conference. Or two, it just didn't have as much of an impact because it was just a Kotaku article saying that this game's coming out, or
Right.
it was a single developer Twitch stream that like I just missed because it was on a random Saturday, that I just didn't get to see. So
Yeah,
there is some value there for sure for this like event.
And on the other side of the argument is that all these different companies and publishers are sharing that news space, right? So it's hard to get them all the spotlight that they want on their games, right? So I feel like they were relieved that they were able to have their own time to show off their games, but at the same time, like, yeah, that gets lost, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does, for sure. So yeah, what I can't, and maybe I'm just, I'm not as smart as those within E3, but like I just can't even speculate.
I think you are.
Yeah, I currently at this very moment cannot speculate what value they're going to provide to.
That's the nugget of the conversation here.
Yeah, like
it's still going to remain indispensable.
Yeah, that's a big word. That's a big word.
It's a strong word to put out there. Indispensable. Yeah. Cannot live without this event in our lives is the push they're making. Because and how are they going to do that?
Because like I feel like as a consumer, I was mildly inconvenienced by the fact that E3 didn't happen last year, but like very mildly. And I was and I would feel like the developers were not inconvenienced at all because game sales were fucking incredible this past year because everyone was home, and crazy enough, they managed to still buy video games.
They did just fine.
GameStop
was an essential business. They refused to shut down. Remember?
Yeah, stonks. I don't.
Stonks.
Did you see the side note? There's some big GameStop news that came out today. But anyway, I just, that's such a strong word to use after we just went through this year, and gaming is fine and strong and fruitful for everyone. So like, they better have
your lives last year, but we're indispensable, and we're going to prove this to you.
I feel like the marketing should have been, hey, we took a year off, like humble a little bit, like humble yourselves a little bit and say like we took a year off, we realized what was done without E3, and here are some things that we plan to come back with and show why in this new digital age and this new post-pandemic world that E3 still holds value, like, God, man, this isn't the time of fucking magazines and demo discs, right? Like, fuck, dude, like someone in their marketing department needs to, like, whoever the editor was that used that word needs a fucking new job.
Yeah, because it just sounded like a hopeful word. And
offer anything. They just said it's going to be this. We want to be this. And that's great. You can want to be a lot of things.
It's a very hopeful word.
But we don't know. We don't know yet. I'm very interested in that, what their plans are for that. And I want to know what the insider opportunities are. What value is E3 going to have? Traditionally, if people out there don't know, which is not out of the realm of possibility with the non-impact it's had in the most recent years, but you would go there physically and interact with industry people because they were all there. You could get conference rooms, you could have meetings, you could create like the business and the commerce of video games in E3. That was the value. That was the hub. You could just Slack someone. You could just email them online, and you could do that regardless.
Yeah, remember we went to that. You and I went to that weird meeting with the person.
Yeah, we had a meeting with a guy. We talked about VR. It was great. He wants to come.
No. That was the guy we met at lunch. we also there was an area where you could network like formally. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh,
So
yes.
we walked over
yes, that one
in that
too.
back
Yeah.
area that was kind of empty at the time
Yeah.
when we got there in our time slot. And then we
Yes.
met with somebody and they were like, "Oh, we're not interested in what you're doing
Yeah.
at all."
Sure. You could do
What's-
that a million times a day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What do you do online? You gotta sit in a Twitch chat and at EA. Hey, I got an idea. Like what? Look, prove me wrong, E3. Like, show me what you're gonna do. But like as of right now, we don't know.
The other thing is like, you know, it's now free because of our global media partners. Well, where were those mystery media partners every other year for the existence of E3
Right.
and the fact that like it wasn't a thing that you could offer? You know, like there's a part of me that just wants it to literally fail
Yeah.
so bad and just we'll all be okay.
If they were really
we'll all be
smart-
mildly inconvenienced for a few years.
yes,
But it'll
exactly.
be okay.
Things will coalesce again after the fact. Like if they were really smart about this, they could have been slowly ramping up some kind of like next generation insider ability for E3. Maybe like, you know, not that I'm trying to give them ideas, but like hold on, I'm having a lot of thoughts at the same time.
You're
I was
gonna
going to
give them
suggest
this
maybe
idea.
have like a database of contacts for insiders, and I realized
No,
they did
don't do that.
and then released their own database information. So
Literally
E3 is already batting 1,000.
But yeah, like you could do a lot. You could do all right. So you guys talked about networking. You can create social online spaces for networking. You can host and be able to schedule meetings, Zoom meetings, whatever, Discord calls with developers and industry partners. Like all that could be managed by E3 to allow people to interact with one another. If they don't do that, I will be fucking floored. I will honestly, it will not make sense if that's not a thing that they offer somehow. If they can't wrap their heads around something simple like that, I have no hope for them in the future. And
I mean, that was it. It was accessibility. So if they say to studios, "Hey, we're gonna put you guys in the same room," or like, "Hey, these guys are gonna be available for questions or whatever, or one-off. We'll send you into breakout rooms." Like that could be a definite way to handle this. But I think that's out of their scope. I just have a feeling they're not that forward thinking in terms of their digital online space.
It's like so simple, like a webinar for all of us to join and then be able to ask questions, and then the host be able to choose what questions they even like acknowledge is like a simple thing. It is not like I could set it. We could all set it up for them in like a matter of minutes. So if there's someone there not telling them that that's something that they should do, then they're not going to last. They're not going to last too many more years.
I do think you're onto something. Becoming more interactive with a chat rather than just watching a Twitch chat go wild during these things is definitely a really good idea. If there's a way that there is more interaction with the audience that are being digital, presented,
like
all this. It's a great idea.
Like Zoom's webinar feature, like specifically calling out Zoom because I've used it, is great. Like you have a panel of people. The panel of people are the only ones that get to talk. You're viewing them, and then there's a raise hand feature. You raise your hand, like digitally, and if someone wants to call on you, obviously they wouldn't do that for the internet. But there's also a way for you to submit questions, and then you have an admin in the webinar that vets the questions, and they can send a question to a panel or they dismiss the question. And then they would obviously dismiss all the trolls. They would let through the questions that they thought were actually viable and would create a dialogue. It's a little bit harder on the scale that we're talking about for E3, of course, but like it's manageable, right? Like it's something that could be done for something this size, this scale, for a company this big.
Yep.
It's absolutely something that they could implement. And it doesn't have to be Zoom webinar. I'm sure there's many other systems that could do this.
They'll
type of thing.
a Clubhouse
Discord
account
literally
and get
added that
everyone
feature this week.
get everyone involved.
What was that? Discord?
Discord added that feature.
Doesn't
That
surprise me.
That was the new feature that that was bugging Felix in the beginning of the show.
Oh, that was the pop-up message that he was getting.
Yeah, it was letting him know that you have the ability to be a presenter. It's the same thing that you were just talking about. You get chosen speakers and then an audience that can listen. And I haven't used it. You guys raise your hand or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you were saying.
Sounds similar.
Yep. But
Yeah, so I'm
one of the
yeah,
things that surprised
I don't know, man. Sorry, keep going.
No, it's okay. One of the things that surprised me was that ESA actually listed a bunch of people who would be participating, and they listed Nintendo, Xbox, Capcom, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Warner Brothers. The one that surprised me where it really was Konami, because they are not major players. They haven't been major players in the game space for a while. They've toned down their Pro Evolution Soccer games. I feel like we're gonna get the last of those soon. And they're not really making games anymore. So I'm like kind of surprised.
They're making slot machines for casinos, man. Raking the money in big time.
But
what about Contra, man? Contra's going to get an upgrade. I'm all
is it how was the last Contra game that came out?
Fucking horrible.
Thank you.
It was called Contra Core something. It was so...
I remember seeing reviews of that. It was not great.
Me and Kevin Oates played it on the goddamn stream, and it was we turned it fucking off.
On the goddamn stream.
We gotta play other things.
They're not.
We couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's not great. But what's most fascinating is that Nintendo and Xbox are still going to be in the show, because generally the last couple of years that E3 happened, Xbox was across the street. They had a booth for Mixer. Was the last thing that they did.
Right.
That was the last thing that they had. Nintendo.
I remember.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
But Nintendo also does their own directs, right? They have their own digital presentations. So that means they are also going to be taking up the digital space that E3 is offering, which is weird. It's almost as if, like, and I know Xbox came out with an announcement saying that we want to be a part of this inclusive event, right? Like they said that this is important. They believe in it. So I'm really shocked that they would come out and do that, considering that they were like, Sony's not in this list of names because they already decided we're going to do our own thing because we got the library to back up our, we got the talk and the walk, all that good stuff. So that was a shock to me that Nintendo and Xbox are still going to be there. The other companies, fine. That's a good avenue for their showing off their games.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Bethesda, now a part of Xbox, you can expect Bethesda to be in that Xbox conference instead of having their own, like they have been doing the past couple years. So something worth thinking about.
It is worth thinking about.
I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah,
they would
we'll
do that.
We'll have to see what they announce, if anything. We'll have to see what E3 looks like and what's accessible to everyone. I mean, they're already going to be outplayed in terms of virtual events. We just heard about GCX announcing a literal virtual space for attendees to meet each other there with proximity chat based on where their avatars are in this environment, which is probably going to be a wild experience that I'll be able to participate in with my ticket from GCX 2020 that got canceled. So I will have to see, but I don't think E3 is going to be innovating here.
Wait, you were going to go to GuardianCon? You had trip planned?
Me and Diamond had tentative plans to get tickets, and we did get tickets to go to GCX 2020. Yep, and obviously that was canceled. But yeah, those are redeemable for this year, so I will be popping in there. I just don't think E3 is going to be innovating at the level that a lot of other people in virtual event spaces are, but we'll see. They could prove me wrong.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
We will.
And on that note, you guys,
keep you updated if we hear.
And on that note,
this is Lock and Key. You could find me on Twitter at @lock_key. It's been great chatting with y'all. Felix.
This is Felix Hergood. You can catch me at Felix Hergood on Twitter. I don't know what I talk about there. It's mostly just movie shit, sometimes game shit. I write a lot of ats to Fallout developers. That's what I do. I at them.
Perfect.
Just on purpose. Hey, shout out to my Fallout ats. And then when I stream, it'll be fun.
When I stream, it'll be fun.
I don't fucking have any clue when that's going to be. I got no timeline. I'm sorry for the fans. But I don't know. Sorry, man.
Your statement.
Life is just, it is so extra right now. All right. Go ahead.
You can find
Neo,
me
or Trip.
This is Trip Zero. You guys can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Trip0TV. I stream Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Currently very close to finishing up a 100% run of Stardew Valley, and then we'll see what the spring and the summer has for us in store. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Neo.
I've been Neo Yoshi. You can follow me at Neo_Yoshi on Twitter. And breaking news, people. Rumor: Kojima in talks with Microsoft to publish their next game. What? I just saw this. This just came up on my feed. Can't wait.
It's cool.
Follow me at twitch.tv/NeoAyoshi. Playing some Monster Hunter. Who knows? This weekend I may turn the stream on and lube some of my keycaps. My Cherry MX Reds. I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do some keyboard mods if that's your jam. It's been a rabbit hole, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Have a good one.
Later.